All right, I call this one Silicon Valley's Willful Amnesia, Pol Pot, and Too Much Winning, featuring Andrew Torba. This is Otis 5D Reacts. So I'm excited about this one because, bro, I've wanted to give Torba his flowers for a very long time. Torba, dude, Torba's such a fucking gangster. That dude was so far ahead of everyone. I mean, this dude was like light years ahead of everyone. He saw what was coming so far. Dude, people don't get the fact that this motherfucker was Y Combinator. He was Y Combinator before the shit was trendy. Doing what were you doing, Torba? Some kind of like ad tech platform? Yeah. And then in the fucking group chat, I don't even know, dude. Torba, I'd like to talk to you one day, bro. You know, there's just straight up, bro. You're a real ass dude. Like, in a world of fakes and phonies, you are a real ass dude. And you know what? If you don't want to talk to me because I'm not like sufficiently Christian, I fuck with it. And I say that with no sarcasm. You do you. I support you even if you don't support me. And that's the God's honest truth. And I say that not in a blasphemous use of the word God, but in a very sacred and worshipful sense of the word God. Even though my tone may sound different, I promise I'm serious as the Bible, straight up. So was that blasphemous? Fuck, dude, I need to chill the fuck out. Okay, so anyway, Torba, he was one of them. Like, it's like how they hate Trump because he was one of them and then he like turned on them. Dude, that's Torba for Silicon Valley. And that's why I call this one Silicon Valley's Willful Amnesia. So check it out. Let's cut to the fucking chase. So, Torba here includes an image of an ancient headline from Breitbart. Gab founder banned from Silicon Valley startup group. Bro, Silicon Valley startup group is Y Combinator, okay? That's how fucking unheard of comparatively. If you knew at the time, Y Combinator was huge. We even had Sam Altman's Looped. But Gab founder banned from Silicon Valley startup group for making members feel unsafe by supporting Trump. That's how fucking fake and gay things were. Bro, I felt it at that time. I felt it so hard at that time, but I was such like a little bitch coward that I looked at Torba and I was like, wow. I mean, me and Torba are very different humans in terms of our beliefs and just whatever, but I mean there are very few people I have more respect for than Andrew Torba. So anyway, now he's tweeting like yesterday or whatever, so wild to see Silicon Valley go from blacklisting me 8 years ago to being all in on Trump. I won. This is one of the main things I have so much respect for Torba for, is he's not like writing Paul Graham like told you so bitch ass. Bro, seeing Ben Horowitz bend the knee to Trump on the Ben and Mark podcast, bro, that shit was like that podcast. I mean, I love Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz like a lot, right? And shout out to Ben Horowitz. I can't imagine it's easy, being a citizen of Berkeley and having your dad be David Horowitz, and like, much respect. I mean, I think there's a lot of bitch made shit that went on, but I get why. I think if I examine myself, there's a lot of bitch made shit that went on. But anyway, point being, watching Ben Horowitz bend the knee and be like, yeah, we have to support Trump. Sorry, mom. It's like, dude, Torba fucking, he was the first. He single-handedly, Andrew Torba of Gab, single-handedly broke the mold. Okay, you can give some. We should give Peter Thiel his flowers, but I think Peter Thiel gets enough flowers. But Torba really did it. Thiel, at least, he already was like a billionaire. He wasn't like trying to make it or anything. Torba just like threw away a promising tech career to declare Christ as king way before the Groypers and Candace, and I mean like a decade almost. So I feel like if I were him, I would be, like I said, I'd be quote tweeting Ben Horowitz, and I'd be quote tweeting Sequoia, and all the others that have just, dude, I feel fucking Jason Calacanis is about to endorse Trump, like it's just wild to watch the turn happening. And, so then I call it, so silly. And no, here's the thing. These fucking agfays, they fucking will not apologize to Torba. That is the fucking pernicious part of this bullshit. Is it's like, bro, it's like people that are like when Scott Adams bent the knee to anti-vaxxers, he's like, yeah, but everybody was guessing. And it's like, bitch, just say that people fucking knew things you didn't know. Have some fucking humility. And like Silicon Valley, what they're doing in terms of pretending that none of this ever happened, and that it's just like, wow, Biden's decline is just so unexpected and unprecedented that, in the way that Elizabeth Warren and the Democrats are, coming after crypto, you just, in unrealized capital gains. It's like these are just unprecedented times. And, in these sober moments like this, I have to acknowledge that in this one particular instance, I think that Donald Trump is the best man for the job. And, I know people have strong feelings. It's like, bro, shut the fuck. Dude, just say sorry to people like Torba. Like, you put this guy through fucking hell, and now you're just like, yeah, I vote Trump. And like, no accountability, no truth and it's like all these fucking wokeists who fucking slobber all over the truth and reconciliation concept from apartheid. It's like, bitch, where's your truth and reconciliation? When you fucking you kicked him out of YC. And it's just like, yeah, but that was like, but nobody knew then. And it's like, wow. But Torba, to his credit, is just like, he's focused on winning. He is a bigger man than I am. I would just be ranting endlessly about like, you fucks, like you look what you did to, but I think that's, how they say like that the best way to be a religious person is to lead by example, and to show that like through what your religion, what God has done to your life is a demonstration of what God can do to a person's life, and that's what will inspire people to turn to God. I really feel like Torba is in many ways, an incredible representation of that, because there's a tremendous amount of humility in this. He's saying, I won, and it's the truth, but it's just a statement. It's like, that's what happened. And, let's keep fighting. And so then the second part of this, I called it Pol Pot. And it's because, I've read quite a bit about the Khmer Rouge and the killing fields and Pol Pot and that whole regime and that whole period of history, which I just think it's got to be top 5, top 10 most incredible periods of world history almost. It's just so, it's like if a country turned into a cult, way more intense than North Korea, and then and then it ended, and then all of a sudden it's like, what was that, right? So anyway, but the thing that's so amazing to me about Pol Pot that I think a lot of people don't even know, bless their hearts, is that so the communists were hunted down, especially if I'm not mistaken, especially so the CIA installed like a puppet government when the super popular like king type figure, I think he was in China making a state visit, and while he was out, they did some CIA bullshit, and they're like, oh wow, it's so unstable, and they basically installed like a puppet military regime into Cambodia. And the reason is that a lot of the Ho Chi Minh Trail was on. None of this is. I don't even know why I'm telling you this, but I guess. A lot of the Ho Chi Minh Trail was in the Cambodian territory, and that super popular king guy, he had maintained neutrality, and he had never given Americans rights to Cambodian airspace to bomb the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And like the first thing that the puppet military general did when they installed him was say that America could bomb the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Cambodia, right? So anyway, obviously the Americans were no big fans of communism then. How things change. They hunted down Pol Pot and his little band of merry, Reds. And Pol Pot just like lived in the woods, like in the villages for years, just biding his time and training and amassing support and getting the villagers on his side. And like, I have such a tendency to be a dilettante where if things aren't working, I don't have sufficient conviction to just keep pressing on. And what I see in Torba, right? Like, look at the last sentence, I won, is that Torba has just been hammering away. And the thing, of course, that's particularly compelling and admirable about him, respectable, is that he built an alternative. He didn't just talk about the wokes and whatever. Gab.com is there. It's there. It's like, it's going. It's a functioning free speech platform with more free speech than Twitter. And he kept talking. He kept proclaiming Christ is King. He kept talking shit to journalists. He kept building. And now, as he says, so wild to see Silicon Valley being all in on Trump. It is fucking wild. He won. And Pol Pot won, right? I mean, at least temporarily. I'm not making any comparisons between Torba and Pol Pot, or really Pol Pot and anyone. It's just that backstory. It's just Pol Pot took over a country from villages. He was like in the woods, and then he amassed so much support slowly over many years that eventually they took over the country. And you can see, like what Torba is doing with the whole Christian nationalist movement. Like, that shit's pretty mainstream now. And he has just been hammering away at it. And people, they mock him, they slander him. You're racist, you're anti-Semite, you're homophobe, Christian nationalist. And it's like, and now it's not that he changed, they changed. They became more like him. He didn't become more like them. And it's just an incredibly inspiring story to me, because it's like, and I think it should be an incredibly inspiring story to anyone. I think even if you hate Andrew Torba, I think even if you're fucking atheist or you're like a hardcore Zionist Jew, you should be super inspired by this story, because it's like, wow, when you just persevere in your truth, sometimes you succeed and the world starts to look more like you, And I find it just incredibly, I don't know, man, unlikely. I just didn't see this coming. I never thought this was going to happen. I thought things were just going to split, and that, you know, like there was going to have to be like a parallel Silicon Valley. I just did not see any of this coming. So, you know, Too Much Winning, the third part of the title, is just like, dude, I think this is at least a somewhat permanent shift that's going on. Like the degeneracy that has descended upon Western culture is not only facing a backlash, it's facing an ever growing backlash and an ever more determined backlash and an ever more organized backlash. And it turns out that this like wokest degeneracy, it basically just had the media and the claiming of the moral high ground and the threat of violence, you know, they call you in cancellation, right? They call you a bad name, and then a bunch of people show up at your door, they SWAT you, or they get you fired. And as those things, as people become more and more willing to be fired or canceled, and as you know, the effect wears off, and as people just reject the claiming of the moral high ground outright and saying, bitch, who the fuck you think you are? You ain't got no fucking moral high ground, bitch. As that attitude takes hold, I think that the shift is it's hard to predict how far it can go. So salute to you, Torba, and congratulations, because if no one else does, I do. I validate you. I remember clearly Hacker News when you got kicked out. I've been following it, and now here it is. And, you know, next thing we know, fucking Paul Graham is going to come out and be like, well, you know, I know that, like, I know that I don't necessarily think Trump is a good person, but, like, you know, there are big issues in tech, and I think the future of tech, you know, just like I've had to become a single. It's like, holy shit, bro. Even fucking Paul Graham goes in on Trump. Whoa. We'll see. All right. That's good enough. And peace.
Otis5D.xyz.
Go fuck yourself.